Hey guys, this is Darbs R Us, and I am Brad. Today I have a little guide for you on crafting surveys. So this was a viewer requested video, made the request a while back, and I'm finally getting around to it. This is going to be a step-by-step guide on how to use and find crafting surveys. Now I'm assuming that if you're clicking on this video, you're, probably pretty new to this, so you're going to want to hear a step-by-step guide. For those of you who might just want tips and tricks on how to do your surveys faster, those are going to be at the end of the video. So I'm going to include a timestamp in the description below, and if you want to skip this and go straight to the tips and tricks, be my guest. Alright, so starting off, just in case you don't know, you get crafting surveys by completing your daily crafting writs. I'm gonna estimate maybe a 10 to 20% chance of getting a crafting survey anytime you complete a crafting writ. And these crafting surveys enable you to collect a lot more resources than just hunting for resource nodes in the world, which is why I like to do them so much. So once you get a crafting survey, it's gonna go ahead and pop up in your inventory under slottable items, and they're gonna look like this. They're similar to the treasure maps. It'll say what type of survey it is and the location of the survey. So as you can see, I've got this jewelry crafting survey selected. So most surveys show you a map of the location that you can find the survey at. So if we click on this enchanting survey, as you can see, it points to an area. Some of them have it circled, some of them have an icon displaying. So if you go up to like a blacksmithing survey, it's going to look more like this, and it gives you a pretty generalized idea as to where you need to look. Now, the reason why I picked a jewelry survey for today is they don't do that. They're the one exception to the rule. They only tell you in text format. So in my opinion, they're the hardest to find if you're just getting started. As you can see, it says that there's a resource cache uncovered on a rocky cliff overlooking a lake island west of the Seeker's Archive, south of Argofox of Owl. So if you don't have the map uncovered for jewelry crafting, they can be a bear to try to find. And I'll give you some tips and tricks on how to find these things easier, like I say at the end of the video. But I wanted to do this one because it's a little bit more of a guessing game. Alright, so the way I like to do this is I like to find the approximate location on my map and then leave a marker for myself. That way I don't have to keep referencing the map. So as you can see, if you recall, it's between the Seeker's Archive and Argofox of Owl. And normally you would assume that it'll be like around here, but it did say it's overlooking a lake, which is why I set the marker over here. So you really have to pay attention to exactly what the jewelry surveys tell you. Like I say, the other surveys, they're a bit more simple, but jewelry surveys, you need to pay attention. So I'm going to go ahead and pop over here, and when I get there, I'll be back with you. Alright guys, so I'm back. As you can see, we are overlooking the Nereid Lake, and here's the survey. So what you should know is that in every survey, there's 6 nodes. Doesn't matter if it's enchanting, jewelry, blacksmithing, whatever. There's always 6 nodes. They tend to have anywhere from 18 to 40 of each resource, per node. So that one gave me 20, 20, 18. Alright, well this one's not really doing what I want it to. Alright, well that one was kind of a bust, but anyways, as you can see, it's way more effective than just looking for platinum in the world map. It would take you much longer to get that much. So this is why I like to use surveys so much. Now, another thing to keep in mind is if you do a survey in Craglorn, like I'm doing right now, there's always a chance that you'll get Nirncrux out of your resource nodes. So Craglorn surveys are especially valuable for that reason. It also seems like you have a higher chance of getting like Kudas and such from the enchanting surveys. So surveys are a really good way of accumulating resources if you're a crafter, whether you use the materials yourself or you seek to sell them to others. So as you can see too, I wasn't dead on with my placement, but very nearly. You'll get that good with practice, but it takes a little bit of time to get to this point. Alright, and that brings us to the tips and tricks section of the video. I'm not going to lie, it's not likely that any of these are going to revolutionize the way that you collect your surveys, but they should help you reach peak efficiency. So tip number one is that you want as many duplicate surveys as possible before you go hunting. They do stack in your inventory, and there's a really simple way where you can collect them one after another without having to, go on a long journey or anything. So as you can see here, I have a duplicate of this Alchemist survey in Stormhaven. So to go collect that, all you'd have to do is open it up, find where it is, go over there, and collect the survey the first time. And then if there happens to be a delve adjacent to the area you're in, just walk into the delve, walk back out, the survey will respawn. Barring that, all you gotta do is log in, or I should say log out and then log back in, and then the survey will be back. Alright, now piggybacking off of tip number one, tip number two is, in order to get more crafting surveys, more duplicates so that you can harvest a whole bunch in one go, I would recommend having multiple characters do crafting writs on a daily basis. These characters don't have to be high level, they don't have to put any skill points into crafting, they just need to do basic crafting surveys. And in some ways it's actually better to have some characters that aren't good at crafting just to do the surveys. Because on top of the gold that you'll earn, of course, you'll also have a chance of getting surveys. And if you get surveys with those other characters, all you gotta do is run to the bank and throw them in there, and then pull them all out with your main crafter. Definitely don't collect the surveys on your lower tier crafters because they'll get low tier garbage resources that you just don't need. So make sure you have your main crafter do it. Sadly, you can't buy or sell crafting surveys and you can't mail them, but you can still put them in the bank to switch between your characters. So like I say, to get as many duplicates as possible, I do recommend having at least a couple other characters do crafting writs on a daily basis, and that'll greatly increase your chances of getting more surveys and more duplicates. And that brings us to tip number three, and this is more pertaining to how to find the surveys. So going back to our example here, our Alchemist survey in Stormhaven, that gives you a half decent place to look. But if you're struggling to find it, all you gotta do is go on Google and do a quick search. Just do something along the lines of ESO Stormhaven crafting surveys, and it'll pull up a number of sites that will show you all the surveys in the zone. Just look for the one you need, and they'll have a more detailed map. They may even have coordinates, and then you can go right there. That's what I did when I was first learning on some of the more difficult ones. Now, if you are in it for the treasure hunting aspect and you don't want spoiled, then props to you. But for those of you who are in more of a rush and just want to get to the resources, that's a handy little trick. I'll go ahead and put a couple websites that I used to use in the description, so feel free to check those out if you don't want to just do a Google search. Additionally, and this is kind of a shameless plug for myself, if there's any survey that you particularly struggle with, feel free to let me know in the comments and I can make a quick video about it or a YouTube short or whatever would help you. So just let me know in the comments and I'll help you out. And that concludes this video. There aren't a whole ton of tips and tricks to this because surveys are relatively basic, but if there's anything that you think I missed or that you want to know, like I say, feel free to ask. Questions are more than welcome. And thank you very much for watching this tutorial. I hope it helps you. I hope you all have a wonderful day.